Hello guys, welcome back to another video. And in this video I want to teach you how to write a good unit test. As a software engineer, software developer, you are supposed to know how to write a good and quality unit testing. Okay, so I'll try to make it as basic as possible so everyone will understand how to write unit test. So you could write unit tests using Java, you could write unit tests using C#, you could also write unit tests using the Ruby, basically any language, any programming language of your choice, even Python too. You could write unit tests using Python. So you could write you could use different languages to write unit tests as you please. It's very important to understand what a unit test is and what a unit test is not. So I'll be trying to tell you what a unit test is. So you know how when you're developing a software, as an engineer, you're supposed to make sure that there's quality to what you are giving out. And that is why every company has a quality assurance engineer. You know, after the developer finishes engineering and developing the software or the program, there is a quality assurance engineer that actually gives ascertain that that product is correct and meets industry standards. However, the developer themselves will have to do some testing too before they let it go out to the QA, which is short form for quality engineer. This is where the unit test comes in for the developers and the software engineers to use this unit test to ascertain, to determine if truly their code meets the required criteria before they hand it over to the quality assurance engineers. And there are basic frameworks. There are many frameworks that could be used to write unit tests. But for me, I want to be using the NUnit framework, which is more like a .NET framework for testing, for writing unit testing and testing your code. All right, so what exactly is unit testing? Unit testing is the ability for a software engineer to test a small piece of their code, a unit, a block of their code. So in this case, you could say a unit means a block of code. It doesn't mean you're testing your entire code. You're just testing a block of your code to see if it meets that requirement. I'm going to give an example. For example, you see that I have a method that is called get Toyota models. Okay, so this method will return to the user or the caller or whoever is trying to get this method all the list of car models for Toyota. You know that we have the make as Toyota, and then we have the models as Camry. We have another model as Corolla. We have another model as RAV4. We have another model as Venza. So all these are Toyota models. This method will return the models of Toyota. So for example, you have an application that you selected, you're trying to buy a car. You selected from a drop-down list the make of the car as Toyota. I want to buy Toyota. But then there's going to be another drop-down list for you to select the model of the car. So in this case, you selected Toyota as the make. You're going to select a model as, let's say, Camry, right? That drop-down list needs to pull values from somewhere. This method will return the values that drop-down list will pull the models from. But before we give this method to the quality engineer to test, we want to make sure that we're actually testing our own code as well. So we have 3 code blocks here. The first code block, as you can see, the first code block is the if statement to check the make of the car. What make is this car? Is it a Toyota? If it is a Toyota, we're going to add the models. We're going to add to the list of models, we're going to be adding Camry. We're going to be adding Corolla, and we're going to be adding RAV4. Just this 3 for now, just to demonstrate, okay? Then the second code block, that's the first code block. That's the first unit that we'll be testing. Using a unit test to test this first unit. If the make of the car is Toyota, are we really returning back the models? Truly, are we really returning back the models? Then the second code block is the else code block, the else piece, right? If it is not Toyota, then we should not be returning any models for Toyota. So if it's not Toyota, if it's not if the make is not Toyota, then we just return the mod in the model list. We're going to return just a null, just an empty list, just a null list, and then we're going to return that. So we are checking also if the car make is not Toyota, we don't want to return no models, right? So the last code block is a try catch block. The catch block is an exception handling block. So if something goes wrong, unexpectedly something just goes wrong on your code, you want to handle that too, because you don't want a situation where unexpectedly something like, say, connection fails, so network fails, something fails, and you're not handling it. That will be a very bad design of a software. So the last piece of code block that we will be testing, the last unit of code block we'll be testing here is the catch block. So you can see that this catch block handles an exception, handles an unexpected error. So we're going to return a message that says an unexpected error as a code, just to tell the user that something went wrong while we were, trying to get you the models. So this is the units or the pieces of blocks that we'll be testing. Now let's go to the unit test itself. The unit test project has three. We'll be having three unit tests. One of the first unit test is to test that the car model is truly Toyota, it's going to be returning Corolla, Camry, and Venza. If the make Toyota is passed, if the make is Toyota, you have to return this three list for us. That's the first unit test that we're testing. The second one is to check if Toyota is not passed. So if the make of the car that was passed is not Toyota, we want to return null. We want to check that it's null, that it returns a null value, that nothing was returned. And then the last test we'll be testing will be the exception handling test. So if an error happens, we want to make sure that we're able to catch the exception and we're able to give out a message that says, okay, something happened, so that whoever is going to be testing or whoever is going to be writing the other part of the code will be able to check for that error and make sure that that error is not there before they can move forward to displaying the data on the UI or on the front end or on the drop-down list. So these are the basic ways that I can show you how to write a unit test, and this is why we write a unit test for our softwares. Let's dive into the code. Actually, let me show you how to write unit testing as it should be. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, please follow my channel and follow my page, and let's go into writing the code. All right, so we're back into the Visual Studio, and I will be now coding, showing you how to actually write a unit test by demonstrating via code. So the first thing you do, I already have a solution right here. I already have a method right here that we'll be testing. So this is assuming that you already have a method you're trying to test. I'll be showing you how to test this method now. So let's go and add a unit test project. You right click on the solution and then you new project. In this new project you will be adding a unit test. So if you type here unit test, you see all the options of unit test. Okay, you see all the options. As soon as you start typing unit, it is going to show you the options. I want to go with the end unit test actually. So if you type end unit, you should be seeing end unit tests coming out here. This one is the one I want to go with, end unit test. It's a .NET Core test project, test framework for C# and .NET testing, unit testing. So let's go with this guy, selected, and click next right here. Let's call this car model test. All right, let's call it car test. Car unit test. it's much better. Car unit test, right? Okay, let's call it like that. When you add it, it's going to generate a boilerplate for you. It's going to generate a default code for you. As you can see right here, it's generating the setup method, and it's also generating the test method. So there are a few things that you need to understand. Just as this is, I'm going to be changing this name to a more appropriate name that will fit the kind of test we're trying to do. But you will have to decorate the method with test, right, like that. So it's a test, put a rectangular braces and write test on top of the method. Otherwise, you will not be able to test your code that you're writing. So the first one that I want to target is if it is a Toyota. So if the make is a Toyota, we want to test if truly it's going to return the car models back to us. So the first unit test here is, I'm going to rename this, and then when you're writing unit test, make sure that you're writing it, the name, as somebody can understand what you're writing. So I'm doing car make is Toyota, right? So if the car make is Toyota, then I want to write this test like that. Okay, so that's one test. We need another test that if the car make is not Toyota. Just copy and paste, right? So you change the name is not Toyota right there. Okay, and then the last one is if there is an exception, I want to be able to handle exception. Instead of copying and paste, let me type it just so you can maybe see, maybe it helps. Test method, and then the method is public void, because this test method doesn't return anything. I'm going to be handle underscore exception. So we're trying to handle exceptions if exception happens. Underscore exception test, open and close, like that. So these are the three methods, the three unit testing that we'll be writing for one particular method. Let's go back to that method and we'll understand why I said car make is Toyota test, and then car make is not Toyota test, and exception handling. So let's go back to this method and you will understand why. Again, this method is already here. The purpose of this tutorial is not to teach how to write the methods, is to teach how to test the code. So the test method is already here, so we could just test it instead of writing this code over and again. So the first time you come into this method, there are just 3 code blocks that you could see. So imagine that you are writing a function. The if statement here is a code block. You see, if object.make, so the object is the car model. If the car model dot the make is equal to Toyota, then we want to return, this is the first one, first model, a car name Corolla, car model name is Corolla. The second model, the car model name is Camry. The third model, car model name is RAV4. And then we are adding each of those models, model 1, model 2, model 3, to this list, car model list, and we'll be returning that car model list right here. See the return there being returned. So this is the first code block right there, and this is the first code block we'll be testing in the unit test. I'll show you. This is the first code we'll be testing. Car make is Toyota. Okay, now let's go to the second code block. Car make is not Toyota test. So let's look at that second code block. If this is not Toyota, that means it's going to come to the else statement, else right here, and then for that I'm just trying to return a null just to demonstrate that it is not returning anything. It's not returning the car model. So for that, just to make things simple, I'm just returning a null here. So we'll be testing that to make sure that it returns a null and it passes the test that it returns a null. The final code block is this one right here. So if everything is good, is going to come into this block. However, if something fails here unexpectedly in this block, unexpectedly, it is going to come to the exception block, and we are saying that it's going to throw an exception with the message unexpected error happened. So we also need to test this try catch block. We also need to test this catch block here. If unexpected error happens, we should be testing that as well. So these are the three blocks, as you can see, that we're testing. So when I go back to the code, to the unit testing code right now, you will see that the exception handling block is this one. If it is not a Toyota make, it's this one, and if it is a Toyota make, it's this one. So let's start with the more complex, a little bit more complex one. It's not too complex, but it's just a little bit complex than these other two. In terms of writing the code, I mean. Let's start with that. Every unit test has three parts to it. I'm going to delete that. It has the arrange, it has the act, and it also has the assert. Okay, so let's explain what all of these things are. And this is also the 3 A's of unit testing. So sometimes if you go to an interview, the interviewer asks you, what are the 3 A's of unit testing? Just tell them arrange, act, and assert. They're going to tell you, okay, what do these 3 do? The arrange is like you're arranging the data with which you're going to test, with which you're going to carry out the test. For example, we know that for car make to be Toyota, that means the user must have been selecting a Toyota in the car make drop down. That means we have to tell the unit test that, okay, the user selected a make as car. For us to do that, we need to create the objects and pass it here, and then manually tell that make, type Toyota to that make, assign it as Toyota. Okay, that's that. The act section now is where you actually taking the action to test that method. So you're going to be trying to test this method. Whatever you do in the act is like trying to test this method right here and getting the value back from this method. Testing it, try to call it and test it and get the value back for this method. That is the act. So you're actually calling the method to test it and getting value back. The assert is where you say, oh, did I get a value? Is the value that is being tested and the expected value, is it the same thing? Is the actual value and expected value, is it the same thing or not? Or is it true that I got all the list of cars, all the list of models back? You're going to be asking all those questions here. It's like this place is like asking questions. You're asking the questions to ascertain if it is true that it actually returned the expected value or not. This is the assert. So that's the 3 aspects of testing. Once you understand these 3 aspects, the next part now is writing the code. So let's go ahead and write the code. Before we write the code, we need to tell this unit test project about this project here that has the cars and the models and everything. We need to tell it about it. So we need to put a reference from here to here. Doing that is just right clicking the dependency and add project reference, add project, because it's within the project. You could see it here listed here, and then you click that, you add that, just add. So right now this one, now all of these classes are now available to the unit test. So right now let's do the arrange. The arrange now is the first thing I want to do is to access the model, the car model, and it should allow us to add the references. Okay, so look at it, that it's as in the using statement, the reference is right there. So once you add it, it's going to be okay. Let's call this object so we don't confuse too much. Okay, I made a new instance of that. So in this object there is a car make model, car make property, sorry. So this is the car make, and we're going to assign the car make as Toyota. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this is because when you go to the test method itself, you're going to see object from this car model right there. Object.make is equals to Toyota. So we are coming here to make sure we are assigning the same thing to that make, so that when we do the check here, we actually for sure know that we assigned the make to be Toyota. So did you come to this place? All right, so we are specifically isolating that block of code to test. So that is that. Now when we come here, what should be the expected value? The expected value is to make sure that we populate okay, so right now inside of this same act, let's get the expected value. Expected value is to make sure that we return all of these guys. We are seeing all of these guys, Camry, RAV4. When we return, it's make sure we see that. Okay, but I'll come back to that just because I don't want to write. I just want to do the simplest of code first and show you, and then we'll come back to actually add all of these expected values one after the other. So I'm going to the act. We're going to come back to the expected values. We already know the expected value, but I'm going to come back to that. So the act now, we want to make sure that we are getting that method hit. So let's try to hit that method. So it's a car as a like that, car equals to new car. As a class object, you're creating an object of this car, and then inside the car we have that method, right? So let's call this actual value. So this is the actual value that will be returned from the method, and this actual value car dot it has that get, it has this method right here, and this method is requiring, you can look at it already, it's already requiring this object that we are passing here. So requiring that object because it needs that object to do that if statement. Okay, so now we got that already. So this act side is finished. Now let's go to the assert. I'm going to write just one assert only for now. You can have multiple assert, like the assert could be many because you're trying to test different things, scenarios. So I'm going to do an assert. Just type assert, the word assert dot I want to ask if it is true that we have at least some list of cars, right? Some list of car models, right? Actual value dot count. So we want to make sure that the count is greater than 0. That means there is something in there. It returns. So that means, just let's go back to this place. So once it comes here, we are building each of these models and we are adding it here. We're adding each of these models right there, adding them. So there are 3 models already here. But I'm going to making sure that at least these car models that is being returned here, you see this return? At least it is greater than 0. That means there's 1 car model at least in there. At least in there. So this is the simplest way we can test this method. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to build the expected values, right? The list of cars, the list of car model. I'm going to build it here. I'm going to also test the expected value. But this is the simplest way we can run through that method right now to test it. So let's put a breakpoint here so we can actually test it and we can see how. So put a breakpoint there and also put a breakpoint here. Okay, so I'm going to so once you write the method, right, if you right click here, right click on the method inside the method, and you do debug test, you're going to be able to test it. So it's running, it's building the project, and we should be able to get the testing going really soon. Okay, it's now building it. Okay, now it hits this breakpoint here. So I'm going to step into that function. So I'm inside the function right here. Step into it now. I'm going to go one line after the other. The important thing to note here is the make here. The make is equal to Toyota. So is it equal to Toyota? Yes, it is. So it's going to go in here, build these guys, build it, and assign it here, assign it here. So now this list has 3. So if the count is greater than 0, so that means that test will pass right now. Okay, but that is just the easiest part of the test, right? That's just like so easy. We still need to, so the count here is greater than 3, greater than 0, so it will pass. So it's true. See, it's saying it is saying that it's true. See, if you look at that here, it's saying it is true. So we assert that is true. Is it true? Yes, it's true. So this will pass, and then when it passes, take note of this check mark here. This one here is going to be green, and then the test test explorer here to be green, right? So that means this test has passed. The green is the test pass. If it fails, it's going to be red X. X is going to be this. If it fails, it's going to be this. So let's go ahead and actually write more asserts here. So remember I told you this is just the simplest. I also want to add more like expected values. We are expecting Corolla, Camry, and RAV4 for card model name, right? So to do that, we can create a list of expected values. Expected value list, right? Let's create expected value list like that, right? So in this one, I just want to let's new list of models, right? List of models, model. Okay, and inside of here, I'm just going to write it like join them together, right? Like if you, so car name is equal to, car name is equals to, first one we said was Corolla, right? Corolla. Okay, so from this point I just copy and paste, and that's it. And it's going to have three of them in here. This is a very short form of adding to a list. If you are confused about how I'm trying to do this the other ways, the short form of adding to a list. And now I've added 3 models into the list with 3 car model name in the list. So we could just change this to Camry and then change this to RAV4. Okay, so we have this now. This is the expected values right now. Okay, so we need to test that the expected values, each of them, the first one and the first one in the actual value, is equal to Corolla. I'm sorry, equal to Corolla. We have to make sure that both of them are the same and equal. So to do that, we're going to add another assert right here. Assert. You see, it's already telling you assert that are equal. I'm just going to choose this, like it's already telling me, but this knows that it's a list, so they cannot just test like that. So I'm going to be using, of course, if you know anything in terms of like arrays and lists, to get an object within that list, you can use the rectangular braces and get the index. The first index is 0 dot the car model name, and also here too the same thing will happen. I want to do that, put 0, the first index dot the car model name. So this is the first one. Right, that's the first one, and we should be good like that. And I'm just gonna copy this and repeat it twice just for the other 2. And all we need to do is just change this to 1, change this to 2, and also come here, change this to 1, change this to 2. Alright, so we have all of it now. What I want to do is to do the same thing, run it, but this time around we're actually running it with the expected values. Like we are running it with the expected value list and comparing with the actual value that is coming back from this method. I'm going to put my breakpoint in here right now because I just want to start this from this point. This is the new code that we have right now. So let's do it again, debug, and assert that this is correct. Okay, it's right there already. We have a count of 3. The first one, we are certain that it is equals to Corolla. You look at it, this expected value is Corolla. The actual value that came back is also Corolla, so this one should pass. The second one is Camry for expected value. The actual value that came back is also Camry. You see that? So this one too should pass. And this last one is RAV4 for expected value, and then the actual value that came back is RAV4 as well. So this one should also pass. Now this is telling me that this code has tested all possible expected values and it passed. As you can see, it passed right here. So for this method, car make is Toyota test, we have actually tested it correctly and it is passed correctly. So these are how you do it. You arrange it, arrange. These are the values that you're expecting. Okay, this one is also arrange. These are the values that you're expecting to go to the method and the values that you're expecting to be returned. Arrange. You act right here by calling the method and getting the value back, and then you assert by telling it, okay, I'm asserting that this is an equal, or this is true, this is true, this is equal, or you can also do not equal, you can also do not true. It's so many things you can do with the assert, but this is the first test for that one method. Let's go to the second test. The second test is for it is not Corolla. So for example, we know it's not, we know it's Corolla, but let's just test that if it's not Corolla, what is going to happen? I mean, I'm sorry to say, if it's not Toyota, sorry, Toyota, what is going to happen? So let's do, I'm just copying it from up there, but this time around, instead of Toyota, I'm just going to do Honda. Right, this is not Toyota, we know that for sure. So if it's not Toyota, what happens then? What do we do? Let's make the call again. Simple as that. Let's make the call again, the act again. So we're just this now and just copy and paste kind of code. We've already written the main part of the code, so we know that it's not Toyota, and we are actually going to be asserting that it is null. This is null. Okay, so you do, oh sorry, you do assert. So this is assert, right? The assert part. So right now I'm going to do assert dot is null. I'm going to show you, we're going to go back to the code and see why I said we are testing that this is null. The actual value is null. So this is the test, right? So if we put your breakpoint here, so this is the test. Like this one is really fast because we've already, this is the first one, right? This one is the one that you actually write to really test everything. Most of the code we're just repeating down here. So this one is really fast. It didn't take up to 2 minutes to write this one. But now let's go and see why this will return a null. So it is not Honda, it's not Toyota, right? So if it is not Toyota, if this is not equal to Toyota right here, it is coming back here. Else, if it is equal to Toyota, else it is coming back here, car model is equal to null. This is why this is going to be null. This is assigned, it's going to be null, and that null is kind of returned here. See the return statement here is going to be returned here, and when it's returned here, we are catching it right here on the test that is not Toyota. We are catching it right here, and when we catch it, we're checking, asserting, we're checking if it is not null. Is it null? It is not null. So let's summarize this test real quick. We have a method over there that is testing for Toyota make, but instead of passing Toyota, we are passing Honda. So that means it's not going to return us Toyota makes. So if it doesn't return Toyota make, we in the method we assigned it to be null. Anything that is not Toyota, it should be returning null. For the car model should be returning null, and then of course the car model truly will return null here. So all we need to do is make sure that we are checking that it is indeed returning null. So if it's running null, then that means that piece of code is correct. So that means this block of code that we are testing right here, this is all we are testing for that piece right here, is this block of code. That means it is true that this is returning null, and if it is true that it's returning null, this test should pass. So let's go again and run it, debug it. Actually, we debug it. So if you want to debug, if you want to go step by step, you do the debug. If you want to just run the test, you just click run. So I'm going to go inside because just so we can see that this test really follow the path. So it is not Toyota, it is Honda. You see that? So it should not go there. So it goes to the else statement. You see it's coming here, and then it is going to assign that to no, and it returns to the unit test, and it's assigned this to no. See, it is no. See the value here, no, and then we are checking assert dot is no. So that means this is no. If this is true, then this should pass. So this passes, and this unit test passes again. You see that unit test has passed again. So this is the second unit test for that same method. Now let's go to the final one, which is just the error handling. Sometimes in your code, when you're writing, unexpected errors can happen. So you should be able to test that if unexpected errors happen, your code is able to handle it. So we're going to be testing that, yes, if anything happens inside of here, inside of this try block, this is a try block, you can see the try block, and it's going to catch it here in the exception handling, in the catch block, the exception handling of the catch block, the catch block of the exception handling, sorry, it's going to catch it here, and we are passing a message that says unexpected error has occurred. So we are going to be testing this block right now. So let's go back to the unit test and begin to test that block right now. The first thing that I want to do is to do an expected. Again, let's do the arrange. Sorry about that. Arrange. The first thing I want to do is to do the expected message. So expected message equal to, I just want to copy. Oh no, just shouldn't be no space there, sorry about that. Let me just copy here so we don't make any mistake. I'm going to copy exactly this message that I'm expecting to come out for us, so we don't make any mistake. Okay, so that's the expected message. How can I trigger this to be an exception? I want to just throw an exception somehow. If I make this object, the car model object, if I make the car model object to be null, this object here, if I just make it to be null, I can trigger that exception to happen. Because the reason why I say that is because, so imagine that this is null, this object is null, and we will come here. If you pass this object in and this object is null, if you try to get a value from a null, something that is null, an object that is null, you try to get the make here, it's going to break because this object is null. You cannot access anything inside of a null. So this is going to break, and I know that for a fact that this is going to break here, and it's going to come into this cache here, and it's going to return this here. So that way we've actually tested this exception handling right here. So yeah, let's set this to null. If you want to compare, like in here we didn't set it to null, we actually set it to an object. We created an object of it, but in this one here we are setting it to null. Okay, so now we set it to null. Let's do the act to call that method, right? Act. So again, for this one we just need to copy and paste right now. There's nothing much that we can do here. It's the same thing, just copy and paste, right? So the actual value for this one will be whatever it is inside of here. Now, to actually test this part, we also need a try catch here, so that when it bubbles the error, this try catch will catch the exception and throw it in here, so we can test it over here too. So with that being said, I want to bring this one inside of here. Actually, bring this inside of here, all of them, both of them inside of here. So inside of this try here, we're going to call it, and then in the exception handling we should be getting something back from here, just as it is right here. So we are saying that this right here should be the message that will come out for us, right? So inside of here I've added the ex, so just an instance of that, and then inside of here I want to do the assert. because I know there's going to be an exception. So inside of the exception, that's where I want to do the assert. Right, I'm going to be asserting that the expected message over there is going to be equal to the message I will be getting from this instance of the exception. So how about I do this? How about I do the ex.message? So you see that there's a message property in that exception is equal to, you see it's already telling me it's equal to this expected message right there, and it's supposed to be equal because we copied it directly from here anyways. It's this guy here. So let's run this again. I will be putting, this time around I'll put it right there, and I also put it right here so we can run it and see, and that will be exactly our unit test. So there are two options here. If you want to go line by line and debug it, use the debug. If you want to just run it, just click run. So I'm going to click that just to run it again and just to see that our test will pass. Okay, so it's here. So let's go inside to actually see that it actually goes into that place. So in this line, it's going to throw an exception because that obj object is null. So you see it throws an exception right here. You see X here. Read the exception. Object reference is not set an instance of an obj was null. Look at this part here. Obj was null. Yeah, we set it to null. We know. And then if you keep going, it's going to go to the cache place now. And then because we are trying to throw this exception with this message, it's going to throw the exception with that message, and it's going to come back to our unit test and throw that same exception. And because we have the instance of the message right there, this one, we have that instance, we are taking this message inside of here. See, in this ex, the message there, ex.message. So it should be equal right now. It's equal to this message over here as expected message, and then your test passes. So this is how you can run your test, unit test. So another thing I'm going to show you is you can run your unit test over here. So if you want to run all the unit tests, all of them, let's say you want to run all the unit tests right here, you can just click run like this, and it's going to run all 3 unit tests right now, and all 3 of them passed. Three unit tests passed, 3 of them passed right there. Okay, that is one way to run it as well. Another way to run it is actually going to the class. Inside of this class, if you click anywhere right here and you just do run tests, so that means you're running all the tests, right? Run all the tests inside of the class. Just click in there, and all of them, 3 of them passed again. So that's how you run your tests easily. But make sure that each of the tests is decorated with the tests, right? Otherwise it will not run. Make sure it is decorated with the test. It's decorated with the test. Decorated with the test. Give it a nice name so that someone will know what you're talking about, what kind of test you're trying, what you're trying to test. Give it a nice name. You see how I'm giving it a nice name. Can't make it's not Toyota. Give it a nice name and all of that. And also put this comment right there so people will know what you're trying to do within your test and all of that. So this is how you can write a unit test. This is just one function, one method. In a real life scenario, you're going to have multiple methods, and you'll be able to test them in multiple methods like that. And yeah, and that's it. You'll be able to test it. It's because I'm teaching right now, so that's why it's kind of slow. If I was testing it all alone by myself, this would have been very fast, and we'll just test it real quick, and we'll just get the values, test it real quick, and I go to the next bit and I test again. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you a lot to understand how to write a unit test, how to test a method, and what a unit test is, and the sections, the various sections of a unit test, as you can see right here, and all of that, and how to test multiple asserts. You see how multiple asserts right here, and all of that, how to pass expected values if it's a list or just a regular multiple expected values. I hope this helps you. Please like this video, please share if you can, but please most importantly subscribe to this channel. I need more subscribers here so we can grow and get this message across to people. Like the video so YouTube can suggest this video to multiple people. YouTube has an algorithm that if your video is not liked, they don't push it out to people to see. If your video is liked, the more your video is liked, the more they push it out to people to see. That's why I'm telling you, please like the video, help me so that my channel can grow. I have other videos that are coming up. I think my next video, I have another video coming up as well. I think I'll be trying to do next video I'm trying to do is going to be automation testing using Selenium C#. That will be exciting. So thank you so much. I'll see you again in my next video. Have a good day. Thank you.